Couple of minutes ago.
That's why I was checking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hi, Fundacığım. Hi, Duygu. Yasemin Hocam. Hi. I haven't seen you for long. So how is everybody? How are you? Hello, Fundacığım. How are you? Good. Fundacığım. Hello. Hi, Mary Jane. Fine, good. I know, yeah, fine. So, how many people? Okay.
I don't know.
So many.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, we have...
Wait till 3 o'clock before we start.
No, 1 minute. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, not early. Let's wait a bit. So, I hope we won't overtalk each other.
Who knows?
Okay. I think we can start now, huh?
Right, ladies, gentlemen, good afternoon. Hope all of you are well and welcome to what may or may not be a fascinating talk on TED Talks from different perspectives, the teacher and the student. In a galaxy far, far away and at a time in the distant past, we sat down and looked at perspective head books, and it was all new and wonderful. And we looked at the TED Talks and understood that that was the main listening component that was connected to the book. And we didn't have any extra listening to actually deal with intermediate, upper intermediate students. I don't know about other levels. And so we decided to try and focus on how we would actually get these talks to work. Now, in the presentation, we'll talk about what the project is, why we actually set it up, the methodology behind it, and the results. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them at the end, and we'll do our best to actually answer to the best of our ability. We'll keep it quick, I believe.
Let's get started.
And we will get started. Absolutely right. So TED Talks from different perspectives. We're talking about the book perspectives, we're talking about teachers and students. We actually focused on the books at both intermediate and briefly, before the coronavirus kicked in, upper intermediate level. And from the perspective of the teacher and the students. So we wanted to explore the impact that teacher input has on student comprehension and participation in lessons based around TED Talks. What we mean is we wanted to discover if the teacher could make it easier for some students to participate in the lessons and to actually comprehend the material they were dealing with. So you can read. I don't want to talk over the slide, but basically... Okay, you carry on. I'm not stopping you.
Okay, so as you know, we were teaching B level in the first module, so we used
C and D level.
C and D level. No, you're right. Okay. So we had the chance to start with intermediate, and then we started the upper intermediate, but we couldn't have enough time because of the virus, so we just had one or two sessions we had. We couldn't continue, and because of the online teaching, and we didn't use. Maybe you will find this presentation so pointless because we are not currently using the book now. We hope to help everybody, including ourselves and the students, okay, while we are doing this. That was the aim when we started, but because of the virus, everything is, have more faith in your...
Well, we've got enough faith in ourselves. Don't worry, Donald, but thank you for the comment.
Okay. So what we did is we prepared a questionnaire, okay, and we provided different inputs, right? Pre-watching, while watching, post-watching, and then we checked the outcome, we checked the reaction during the lessons. So
we actually got the students to fill out questionnaires to actually give us their opinions as to both their performance, their ability to deal with the tasks, and to reflect on what both the teacher and the student might be able to do to improve their performance in these lessons. And And we also got the teacher to fill out a similar form, observing student performance and offering reflection on it, again, on their own ability, their own performance, and what they might do in the future.
Okay, so
we'll show you a sample of the questionnaire. I've split it up into 3 sections because it was quite a long questionnaire.
So this is a student version?
We've only got the student version here. The teacher version is similar, but obviously focused towards the teacher rather than the students. And you can see we've divided into pre-task, so pre-watching, while watching, and post-watching questions. However, they did the questionnaire at the end of the task, once they performed all tasks that may have been related to the TED Talks.
So we tried to talk about pre-task. If you have a look at the questions, you will see what we did in the classroom before we watched the TED Talk, and did we study any lectures. And, you know, there were lots of words that we needed to teach. And part of the problem that we had with the students was the vocabulary. So we tried to deal with this problem different ways, approaches we used.
Different approaches to see what impact that had.
And then we talk, sometimes we talk about the topic of the TED Talk, and then we focus on or not focus on authentic listening skills box. Okay, there's a box, as you know, if you have used the book, you know what we mean. And did you focus on the question task in the book? Predict possible answers to the questions. Did you predict the possible content of the TED Talk? Did you do anything else? If we did, maybe we didn't know what we did, so they were able to write down if we did something else.
Well, this is a general form for all the presentations as well. So sometimes we may have had videos earlier or other things which have sort of led into the topic of the TED Talk. So anything else that we may have done in the classroom.
And we have a crazy dog. Sometimes you will hear her biting, sometimes biting the glass. So students are so used to doing this. And we have a new cat, a kitten, and then sometimes she sees him and we have a nightmare at home. That's why if you hear that, so that's the problem we have. Yeah, you know the story. Okay, so during the task, how many times did you watch the video? So because sometimes you watch once, sometimes more than once, you know. And if you watch the video more than once, did you check your answers with a classmate between viewing? So we wanted to see the peer checking, in what way it is helping or not helping. Okay, and checking the answers, or were you able to answer the multiple choice questions at the end of, because if you have used the book, you will understand what we mean.
In the video, there are some questions which are contained at the end of the video as part of the TED Talk, and they're generally multiple choice questions.
And then post-task. This was, I think, one of the best ways of seeing their way of seeing what we have done. I think, I don't know. Did you understand all, some, none of the TED Talk? So this means a lot. Okay. And were you able to answer all, some, none of the questions? Did you have any follow-up discussion about the TED Talk? Did you do the pair work or group work activity in the course book? Did you do a different speaking task or activity, maybe not using the book one, but using the other one that we prepared? Do you think TED Talks are good for listening practice, speaking practice, or vocabulary learning? And why not? Because we always want them to justify their answers, give us the explanation why they say so. If they give one, so it is helpful, you know. What could you have done to improve your understanding of the TED Talk? What do you think your teacher could or should have done to improve your understanding of the TED Talk? So I think that's all.
That's the questionnaire. That was everything they had.
So after we did each TED Talk, when we finished every step, we were giving these to the students. Tim was doing in his classroom, and I was doing in my classroom with different students. So, okay. So, these are the...
You can see the units we covered and the books that we used. It shouldn't take long to focus on. Let's move on. Additional notes about the methodology. I don't know why the title is changed, moved there, but 2 different classrooms, 2 different teachers, but doing the same activities and the same things in each classroom. So that means if we had major teacher input in both classrooms for example, TED Talk 2, they were the same. And if we had minimal teacher input, which we did as a contrast. Again, we did that the same in 2 different classrooms. If we did actually do the maximum input, sometimes I found we were running to 4 class hours to actually cover one of these TED Talks, which may seem a little excessive. There's a note at the bottom here about the teacher questionnaire being similar to the student one, which we've already mentioned. Results. I guess that's the important part. We did see an improvement in the performance of certainly weaker students if there was more teacher inputs. However, and this is probably quite important, the improvement was not that dramatic. I put a note down here, even when a TED Talk covered 4 lessons with maximum input, it was rare for any student. I would say actually never was any student able to answer all of the comprehension questions correctly, no matter how much input we actually provided. This is quite important, the next point, which is that our observation of our students' performance did not match the students' perception of their own performance. If they felt they were able to actually answer all of the questions, we did not see any evidence of that when we were actually able to observe them. If they felt they had participated fully, again, we didn't always see that information matching up. There's definitely a need to rephrase the questions in the questionnaire. I needed to offer more options. We needed to offer more options than all, some, or none for their levels of understanding. This some ended up being a very wide category and didn't really give us as much feedback as we'd actually like. From the student's point of view, I think
this was interesting.
Really interesting. Students are not necessarily a good source of feedback. Even when we had done nothing in terms of offering input before the task was done, if we just opened the books, played the talk, did the tasks, and checked the answer, and that was everything that we did, students often still answered that we had done many things to actually prepare them, that they had done the prediction tasks, they had focused on the topics, and they generally then commented on the wonderfulness of their teacher. Well, certainly this one on my right. Occasionally,
but I think the thing is, when you present a grammar point, is totally different. When they know what they don't understand, or they need more practice or production or something going on. Maybe here they were more, I mean, of course they're active, but maybe it's not.
Sure, but I mean, if we ask them specific questions, it wasn't until we got, I think, probably 3/4 of the way through this process, and we had to instruct the students more carefully to actually answer the questions honestly and point out again that this was not a reflection on their teacher's ability, but purely a reflection on their own ability to deal with the task according to the input.
I think we need to train students.
Even then, some of them were still lying about the input and trying to suggest we had done more in the classroom and we had been better as teachers than we had in these tasks. So I think the reality is...
when they don't believe, can we see the questions again, or can you send them to me? Yeah, we can send them to you, no problem. We can send both versions, teachers and students. And Gülfem says, when they don't believe the task will be useful for them, we lose in the way. Yeah, some of them, yes, but there were some enthusiastic ones as well. So this is really sometimes depending on the student. So we can win more people if we present, or they are so much involved from minute one. Yeah, we have more students involved, but there are some others. Yeah, Gülfem is right. No matter what you do, they are just sitting there as usual. This is not only about TED Talks. We have different.
And coming back to the TED Talks specifically, there were many students who actually recognized the importance of this task and the need to actually be able to do this task. But similarly, they commented that they felt that they were ill-equipped to be able to do it, so they actually lost faith or stopped trying, and that they had no or little interest in the topics that we were actually dealing with whilst we were doing these tasks, which was a very common refrain.
Charles, we sometimes, you know, we are so interested, or we are in it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in the topic. I find it
and
great,
then you go,
and they're just often limited.
And you try to talk through, and then you try to attract their attention this way, that way.
Sure.
Sometimes, yes, it makes a difference, okay, but you know, the majority of our students, okay, so I think still, depending on the student himself or herself, if they can maybe find something similar in their lives, they are more interested. It is the same for writing and any other skills. But here, when the listening itself is so difficult, they have to put so much input, or the teacher, they lose their attention. They are not focused, you know, they lose their attention. They don't focus on that well or that long. That is part of the problem. That I think that is the main reason we were doing while, after everything.
We tried all of it, yeah. And we tried doing it as the book suggested, the teacher's book suggested. We tried adding many extra tasks and coming at it from different approaches, trying to get students active within these processes. And we compared that to doing nothing, basically, just actually doing the talk. And, well, I mean, great, that's fine for a TED Talk, but that's not the situation, of course, with the material that we were dealing with.
So that's what these, as Elif said here, students keep saying, yeah, I love TED Talks, but not these ones, because I can watch the one that I choose, but you're using it a kind of tool that you need to use in a classroom, and it is difficult. And if you have a look at the last comment, the most common response to the question about students improving their understanding of the talks was to request the subtitles. Okay, I'm not. Okay, so let's talk about the subtitle option. Some students just were asking for subtitles. Sometimes you turn it on, but still the concept is too difficult, and they give up. They don't try. But
and
sometimes
still, it then takes it away from the listening task, and there is no listening or watching, or viewing, as it were, in this case. But there's no other real listening in the course book that we can actually supplement this with otherwise. And of course, each of the units seem to be focused on taking you to this TED Talk at the end with the Lexis and the grammar they're using, trying to get the students ready to be able to deal with the topic of the TED Talk and the presenter's particular idiosyncrasies. And you wonder sometimes about how much of that language the students might actually need in their academic lives. But this is what we did.
And also, one more thing
I'm worried about time, that's it.
When you spend more hours, it works maybe better.
True.
Yes, but then you are struggling with everything. You have the syllabus, you need to catch up with this, you are behind the schedule, and then you sit down and ask yourself, can I just
may there not have been more benefit putting that time in somewhere
so you need to choose the most beneficial way, I think. Then that's why sometimes we cannot spend that many hours on that talk, and whichever way is more useful. So
we tried to see if we could get the TED Talks to be a little bit more effective in the classroom student performance. We found that, yes, we could to a certain level, but perhaps not as much as the amount of effort and input actually would justify it, really.
And it says C-level students in Module 1 are way different than those in Module 3.
True. Absolutely right.
And also one more thing we were going to try was the different, you remember when we first started this year, A-level used different books, B-level, C-level, we were changing books, Language Hub, I think that was. So we were going to see the students who started B level with perspectives used in C level and D level. And then if we had the chance, language hub students, how they are dealing. Sometimes students are prejudiced. If they don't like it in first level, then they don't want to like it. So it's so hard to change their minds sometimes. So we were going to try that way. And having not used Charles, if you have the chance, just listen and watch a few of them. You will understand what we are
Some
saying.
of them I wasn't actually able to understand the pre-listening tasks.
But they're authentic
language script to actually understand what they were saying.
So difficult, really. And they were saying, "Hocam, can you understand that? I can't anything." So sometimes even with the subtitles, it was difficult. Not all of them, don't get us wrong, but it was difficult to deal with. That's why we wanted to work on for 3-4 modules we were going to, and we were going to have more questionnaires, more results.
Modules was always the plan, but we had planned to carry on for the whole of this module as well.
So that's where we are. Okay. John is starting. Thank you for coming. Do you have any questions? If you want to,
they're probably going to see John, aren't they?
Yeah, if they have a point, I would like to see John as well. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Özlem, Catherine. Thank you.